It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 172. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, March 22nd, 2026. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. Find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, Patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. Today's show will have 3 sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. The mid section, which is not mid in quality, it's the middle of the show. That's where I tell you everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And the third and final section is a break from all the video game talk, the Miscellaneous talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. I usually like to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams, and that will be the case today. I'm recording a little bit later on this Sunday than usual because this is the final Sunday before baseball season kicks off, and I'll be most likely getting the podcast out before 1 o'clock every Sunday for the foreseeable future. So I've been, taking advantage of these later starts these last few weeks. And baseball goes pretty much right into football, and those start at 1 o'clock a lot of times too. So that's just kind of the typical Dep Lewis Show schedule. But I am happy to be here and happy to tell you about what's been going on with me. I did a little bit of traveling this week, so it hasn't been the strongest week for video game playing for me, but I have played some stuff. It was mainly early in the week, and something I've been talking about, for the last 4 months almost, has been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been back playing this for a second playthrough, and I think the news today is I'm finally putting a ribbon on it for now. So I'm not trying to make any more significant progress at this point, and moving on to other things for the moment, but I've been having a whole lot of fun with the second playthrough. The only disappointing thing was my final week last week. I invested 250k bells into the stock market, and this was my biggest investment of this second playthrough, and I caught a week that was a decreasing trend. So basically, the first day of the first offer that I was given was the best offer, and everyone from there was slowly declining, and I had to take a loss on my bells. So I came out with about 170k, and that was pretty. I think that was a sign from the Animal Crossing odds, or just something, a sign from the universe saying, hey, you might want to take a little break from the Animal Crossing New Horizons. So I just got my money, or I got some money back, which was nice, and I don't really have anything to do with the money besides, I guess, pay Tom Nook, and I have around, I think, 300k, so I probably could pay him off, but I'm not really looking to upgrade my house at this moment, so I'm basically just going to be taking a little break from Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I've been having a whole lot of fun with this, so I may just drop in from time to time and collect some fruit is kind of what I'm thinking, because the main thing I'd like to do is make more money in this game and then eventually get to a 5-star island. But I think I'm just going to make some way for other games. I've really been thinking about Pokemon Pokopia because that's in a very similar vein, and I've been on a Pokemon kick, so that's one you can hear me start talking about sometime soon. But I've been having a great time with Animal Crossing New Horizons, especially if you've never played it. This is an excellent Animal Crossing game. It might be one of my favorite games of all time, or it definitely is. It might be shooting up the list of my favorite games of all time, and I'm sure I'll be talking about it more later in the year, but I will keep you updated on Animal Crossing New Horizons. Alright, so what else have I been playing in the past week? The main game I've been playing is something I've been playing for the last couple of weeks, and that's Pokemon LeafGreen. So I've been making some good progress here. I completed the SS Anne since I've last talked to you. I beat up all the trainers on the ship. I found the captain up there. He was hurling his guts out, and he was able to give me the TM for cut. So I've been able to reach some new places on the map, and that's been fun. And I've also taken down Lieutenant Surge. So after you are granted with the cut TM, you are able to access Lieutenant Surge, and I took him down as well. So I'm 3 gems in. And what else? I put the cut on Nido. Yeah, this is news. Nido King. So I evolved my Nidorino into Nido King with the Moonstone that I found, I believe, in a cave somewhere. My other option I thought about doing was Clefairy into Clefable, I guess, but I like Clefairy the best, so I didn't really want to upgrade her. So I do have a Nidoking now, which is very cool. That's my second strongest Pokemon following Venusaur. My Venusaur is over level 40, and then my Nidoking's over level 30, which I'm not able to... I don't think I'm able to, like, to tame Pokemon over level 30, or maybe it's just Nidoking specific, but he doesn't always listen to me. So sometimes when I'll pick one of his moves, he'll pick another one, or sometimes he'll just ignore me altogether. I think that happens sometimes, but he definitely doesn't listen to me, and it seems like there is just a little bit of RNG to when he's doing that. And I think it's because of his level, but I'm not all the way sure on that. I got my Magikarp back from the daycare, and Magikarp was leveled up to level 20, and I leveled him up one more level, and that gets him to evolve into Gyarados. So Gyarados is now one of my main Pokemon in my squad, so I'm rolling with Venusaur, Gyarados, Nidoking, and Pikachu. I've been leveling up Pikachu. He is my lowest level. I think he's around 30, though, for like my strong characters, but I feel pretty happy about my Pokemon. I think I can get Pikachu to... I have to have a certain stone to upgrade Pikachu into a Raichu, so I don't know if I'm going to do that or just keep upgrading, but the other Pokemon I have in my party to round it out are Clefairy and Mr. Mime. I traded somebody for Mr. Mime, which was pretty funny, but they're both, Clefairy and Mr. Mime are level 10, but I do have some strong Pokemon. I have 3. I pretty much have 4 strong Pokemon right now, so I feel pretty confident around this world and making some progress. I just made my way through the rock tunnel, and thank goodness for Flash. I put Flash on Pikachu, and I've just pulled up to Lavender Town, so I am, I guess, about halfway done in this game. I haven't really made too much of progress on capturing more Pokemon, but I have been making progress on leveling, and that's what I've been having most fun doing in this game, really. And I'm glad I have some Pokemon that I like, especially Venusaur. I think Venusaur is tracking as one of my favorite Pokemon, and I do like... I eventually want to get like I guess I want to get a Glaceon, and there's probably some other ones I really want to get, but I'm enjoying having Gyarados. I think he's an extra cool Pokemon. Nidoking's been really cool. He's strong, and you know, Pikachu is super classic. I'm feeling pretty happy. And Clefairy's in my party. That's one of my favorite original Pokemon. And then Mr. Mime just kind of looks kind of crazy. I liked having the original Mr. Mime card, and that's why he got added to the party. So I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Leaf Green. Been playing a good bit in handheld, which has been fun, and I really love this game. I think this game is definitely going to be tracking for, you know, going up into consideration for one of my favorite games, and I probably have a lot more Pokemon playing to do, since I'm realizing I've really kind of only played the originals and then more modern time and like the Switch games. So I have a big gap in between, and I think I like these older style of Pokemons possibly better. I've been more addicted or more hooked to playing this one than I have some of the more recent ones, and maybe that is because of the top-down style, or just other features, or maybe more simplicity, I guess, from the older games, but I don't know. But I've been really enjoying Pokemon Leaf Green. I'm very thankful that got released onto the Nintendo Switch eShop, and you know, I highly recommend it, especially if you like some Pokemon or if you want to replay it. It's just a really great game to have on there, and that's the top of my list right now is to keep playing Pokemon Leaf Green. So that's everything. Those have been the 2 main games I've been playing. So I really had a pretty light week on video game playing, but this is the year of the front log on the Dep Lewis Show. So I'm looking forward to new releases coming out. I'm not really looking to the backlog. I'm not making a list of games to complete or trying to deep dive a franchise if I don't want to. So for my front log for this year, I'm looking forward to Forza Horizon 6 on May 19th. I'm looking for the PlayStation 5 release, though, which is TBD, but it's still supposed to be 2026. So I should maybe move that to the back of my front log list. I don't know about that. I'll think about that, I guess. Mean to the Hollower is spring 2026. I think some more of that game has been shown off recently, and I think that game looks extremely excellent. The demo was really fun, and that's one I think is going to be a perfect Switch game, especially, and just a great game anywhere you want to play it. But I think these like $14.99, $20 games are really cool to have on the Switch. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 is on the front log. That comes out August 27th. That's the way to play Metal Gear Solid 4 on current platforms. Marvel's Wolverine is September 15th, and Grand Theft Auto is November 19th. So I think most of these games, I think Forza Horizon 6 is definitely a day one purchase. Mean to the Hollower probably, and Marvel's Wolverine, and Grand Theft Auto, I guess. So I guess just Marvel Token is one that I'm sure I'm going to get tempted by because I go through a fighting game phase every couple of years, it seems like. And then Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of my favorite games of all time for sure, and I could be tempted there as well. So pretty great prospects on the front log, and I'm sure there are going to be more and more things even added to this as the year goes on, and I'm sure there will be some surprises as well. So that's everything I got for my front log, and that's everything I got for you for this first section of the show. So I talked about the games I've been playing, Animal Crossing New Horizons, which you might not actually hear about that one in more future episodes. Maybe, down the road you'll hear about it again, but might be taking a break on that one. And then I've been playing a good bit of Pokemon LeafGreen. I think I'm in the 25 to 30 hour mark on this game, and I'm not even halfway through the main 8 gym leaders, so I think I've been taking my sweet time, I think is what it seems like. And then we talked about the year of the front log on the Dep Lewis Show. That is the theme for the year. So that's everything I got for you for this first section of the show. That's all I could think of for updates on me on my video game playing. And we are going to take a quick break, listen to some lovely music from friend of the show and friend in real life Balliness. And then we're going to come back from the midsection of the show where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 172. This is where I'll tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And I want to start off with telling you about a couple new releases that you might be interested in. And the first one is MLB The Show 26. So the Major League Baseball season starts officially next week. On Thursday, I believe. The Atlanta Braves start on Friday, which is the best team in the universe. But the release of the sports games is always a good sign for sports fans because it means the season is starting soon. So MLB The Show 26 released last week on March 17th. Yeah, that one's actually available, for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch. $69.99 US. Create your legacy from the first pitch to the final inning with the most immersive MLB The Show yet. Experience true-to-life gameplay across new, expanded, and enhanced game modes with evolved features and new stadium effects. This game, I would like this. My only question about this game recently has been, is the Nintendo Switch 2 going to get like a more of a proper version? I think the Switch versions are, obviously not the best, but I really kind of wonder about their quality. And then I also wonder I think if you search like a quick search for how does it run on the Switch, they say it's kind of mediocre. So I think there's definitely some room for improvement with the Switch 2, but I really don't know. I haven't seen them do that for any past releases like upgrades. I guess they haven't released a MLB game since the Switch 2 has been out, but there's no sort of Switch 2 version for this. So that's the only thing I was kind of wondering about. I've thought about picking up an older show on the Switch eShop on some sales just to see how it kind of runs and see these games. If you really want the upgraded rosters, buying the new one is okay, but obviously it's very expensive. So sometimes it's fun to buy the older sports games, especially if you haven't caught up in a while. Some people get hooked on all sorts of sports games from all different years, and they have their favorites, and maybe this could be yours. MLB The Show 26 is available right now. All right, the most interesting release that I want to tell you about is definitely Crimson Desert. This is something that was a surprise to me. It's developed and published by Pearl Abyss. It released on March 19th for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and Steam. This is a game where if you look at it, the graphic fidelity is amazing, and it looks like a world like The Witcher or Skyrim or something like that. It's a third-person action game. Well, it's an open-world action adventure set on the continent of Pywell. Pywell, P-Y-W-E-L. Join Cliff on his journey to rebuild the Greymane faction and to save the land from a looming threat. From vast wilderness and cities to ruins and mysterious abyss, forge your path through battles and discovery. The other comparison I've seen here is with Red Dead Redemption, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. So Crimson Desert, the main thing I want to say about this is, there's an argument that, hey, graphics can't really get much better. We don't really need much better graphics, and I think I generally agree with both of those sentiments, but this is a game where you look at it and you say, damn, they did a really, really great job with the graphical fidelity of this game. I don't know how well it's running all the way through. I don't know if it's a little bit janky like some Bethesda stuff, but the game looks, top tier. So that is definitely, I don't think the art style is completely unique, but it is striking of how good it looks. And I was watching, I watch Rachel K. She's a good streamer, and she streams on multi-platform, and she was playing this game, and seeing her character talk to a shopkeep who was like a giant, and seeing the contrast between the sizes of the giant. And I think it just looked so realistic. Like, I know maybe like a giant's not realistic, but just the proportions or whatever. And then I guess maybe just the world around it, just everything just looked really, really lifelike in this fantasy world. And I think it's a very cool, interesting mix, and it's doing a great job of pushing the hardware that we do currently have. So I think that's really cool. Crimson Desert is something that I had no clue about. So now I have some mild interest in it. And I have heard, I think Giant Bomb was kind of talking down in this game, saying they don't really like it. So I don't think it's a complete smash hit. And I think that's coming from a few different people at Giant Bomb. But I've been watching Rachel K play some of this. I feel like I watched someone else play this who was enjoying it. And I think a lot of people are thinking this game is a nice surprise. So please go check out Crimson Desert if you haven't seen anything on that one yet. All right, so those are kind of the two new releases I wanted to tell you about. The next bit of news is around Nintendo Switch 2, and it has been announced that Nintendo is making a Switch 2 revision for Europe with a replaceable battery. So this is in response to European Union legislation dictating that consumers need to be able to easily replace the batteries themselves. So I think that's a really great thing. I wish the US would have a similar option. I know a lot of times this is like a PSA. If you have an old handheld, you should remove the battery from it, especially, or if you're not playing it, because the battery can often swell up if it's in there for a long time not being used, I guess, and can potentially harm your console. So I guess that is a little bit of the worry here, which the European Union is looking out for the Europeans on their consoles with. So I think that's a really nice thing. You know, I had no clue that this was an option or something that was really being regulated. I have no clue if other countries are going to follow suit, but if they do, I will let you know. So Nintendo Switch 2 getting a revision in Europe. All right, Nintendo Classics. That is the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. There's a GameCube section if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack and have a Nintendo Switch 2, so that's not confusing for you. But there is an update to the GameCube section. There has been a recent system update brings updates. A recent system, I wrote that here in my notes. One of my lines in my notes says, recent system update brings updates here too. So that must have been, a prior note or something, who knows, or a prior reordering of my notes. But this in this update, the sticks feel way more accurate and natural. So I think that is something I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I can say I've experienced that myself too. Input lag massively has been reduced. So I do have a GameCube, and I've played it recently, and you really can tell a little bit of a difference between the handling. And I think if it's more accurate now, that is very, very excellent, because it's a very affordable way to play a lot of these classic games without having to purchase the physical version, which can be expensive. And it's a good way to test the games out if you might not potentially like them. And if you went on and bought the physical version, you would be regretting your purchase a little bit, or you could try something out and then eventually go purchase it physically. So I think it's a cool service I think it's a pretty cool service mostly, or for the most part, or I guess that makes me say like I don't think it's cool, but I do think it's generally pretty good. But the update is a new HDR compatible CRT shader for the authentic retro vibe, and they're touting sharper, more consistent visuals overall on the Nintendo Classics GameCube portion of Nintendo Switch Online. And speaking of Nintendo Switch Online GameCube games, there has been a new addition, and this one is Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. And this is a game that I think this one even almost teeters up to the $200 range if you're buying physical. I know it's definitely over $100, so this is one of those games that could be hard, or a lot of people could not be willing to want to pay that price to play this game. But Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness has been added to Nintendo Classics GameCube, and that's available right now. So this is not a game I've ever played, but I would have some interest in trying this, because I've been back getting some retro games, or I guess they call them vintage possibly, in the last couple of years. So this has been a game that I just see talked about. A lot of people have interest in buying this, and a lot of people talk about the heavy price on it. So Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, experience the extra dimension. Using Shadow Pokemon, an evil organization has unleashed a sinister plot of world domination. With Eevee as your companion, and with the help of numerous friends along the way, you must fight against terrible foes and race against time to snag and purify the Shadow Pokemon and save the world. So they say, please note you will not be able to transfer Pokemon from Game Boy Advance titles to this title, which I think Pokemon's generally pretty good about doing. I think it's pretty impressive that you can transfer Pokemon between like all the mainline releases, I believe is the case. And the original release of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness was August 2005, just for a little bit of perspective on that one. So very, very cool. I think that's a great addition and something I could see myself trying out in the future. All right, the next little block of news is all PlayStation related. The first one is about PlayStation Networks. That's the online service for PlayStation. And PlayStation is actually going to be phasing out the PlayStation Network branding. So not the service, but just the branding. And they're going to do this by September 2026. Changes are purely visual and will not introduce any technical alterations to its offerings. Also, the Sony president and CEO said, in the future, Sony will have one unified platform into a connected ecosystem for all of Sony's digital offerings. So I don't inherently think anything bad about this, but I will have a little bit of sadness for PlayStation Network going away. It's like, well, I guess Xbox Live is still called Xbox Live. I think that's kind of the most iconic one to me, but I've had a lot of great times playing games while it's called PlayStation Network, but I don't think this is ultimately going to be too big of a change for people. Besides, I'm sure the price of PlayStation Network is going to go up over time. That's just going to happen, but I think the base services they offer within PlayStation Network will probably stay pretty similar. All right. The PlayStation Portal, which is $199.99. That's the handheld device for you can partner with your PlayStation 5. So if you don't know what a PS Portal is, it came out, I think maybe last year or the year prior, but you can feel the power of PlayStation in the palm of your hand. Play your PlayStation 5 console over your home Wi-Fi with console quality controls using PlayStation Portal Remote Player. Experience the incredible immersion of DualSense wireless controller features like haptic feedback and adaptive triggers in supported games. And this one, I believe you can, if you have the Portal, outside your house, or even if you're traveling, you can still access your PlayStation at home, and you're able to remotely play from it still, depending on, I think you're still able to do it, but it really depends more and more on the quality of the Wi-Fi the farther away you get from your home Wi-Fi, I guess. But the news here with the PlayStation Portal is there's a new system software update, which they've been doing these over time, and they've been improving this device since it's come out, and I think that's a very nice thing. But the new system software update for PlayStation Portal has begun rolling out globally, introducing improvements designed to deliver higher visual fidelity, smoother interactions, and a more seamless overall experience. So they are touting 1080p high quality mode, refined cloud streaming experience, and smoother onboarding experience. So we've been seeing the Xbox ROG Ally have some upgrades as well, and the PlayStation Portal's definitely had a few over the course of its life, and I think this is good for people who already have this or people who are interested in buying it. I think overall people are pretty happy with the Portal. I think the Wi-Fi connectivity is a huge factor in there of how strong your internet is, but I guess it's nice to be able to play your games handheld. I think the Switch does a great job of that, and I think the Switch 2 being so strong with running some third-party stuff, it does make the PS Portal a little bit less desirable, but being able to play all your PlayStation PS5 games handheld, even if they are streaming, is still a cool option to have out there in the world. All right, keeping in line with some more PlayStation news, there's been a PlayStation 5 system update, and they've been doing these over time too, because a lot of people would say, hey, the options for personalization have been sparse on the UI, but that's been, changing over time, and I think there's a pretty good amount of customization you can do. It's not going to ever go back to like the blades of Xbox 360 day and those kind of themes. That was pretty memorable and awesome to me, but the PlayStation 5 system update adds showcase mode to the Welcome Hub. And this is an optional feature that displays your background in full view after a set time when idle in Welcome Hub. You can also enable slideshow mode to rotate your favorite images, which it is pretty fun to take screenshots on the consoles these days, especially with how wonderful games look. So PlayStation 5 system update out there available now. You can notice that. Go look for some more options in the Welcome Hub. All right, just a couple more things to really tell you about this week. There wasn't a ton of news I really wanted to bring to you, but Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a video game that came out in September 2025. This is a really fun video game, especially if you don't have a Nintendo and you're looking for a kart racer. I can highly recommend this game. I played a lot of it last year. It's multi-platform, and you can race across land, sea, air, space, and time in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, warp through travel rings into new dimensions where something new awaits around every twist and turn. So the reason I bring this game up is because they've been adding characters and courses in this game, and I think one of the biggest, most anticipated characters is coming on March 25th. So in the upcoming week, Mega Man will be in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. That is the news there, and I think their additions to this game are pretty affordable. They have a Minecraft one, they have a SpongeBob one. They're adding Mega Man. They're adding new courses along with these characters. There's plenty of courses in the game already, so I think this game's a good value for what it is already, and I've been tempted to buy some of the DLC stuff because the base game's so fun and they're doing a good job with the DLC, in my opinion. All right, so that's the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Mega Man is joining that game in the upcoming week, March 25th. You do have to pay for them, but go check the store out if you're interested in that. All right, Starfield. That's a video game from Bethesda. It's developed and published by Bethesda. Its original release was September 2023. In the news for this week, I think this has been long rumored, and I think we even talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Starfield has officially announced that it's going to arrive on PlayStation 5 April 7th. It's going to be $49.99 US for the standard edition, and this is the first new universe in 25 years from Bethesda Game Studios, which is the award-winning creators of The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and Fallout 4. So this is a game that I think was, I don't know, half and half of how people liked it. I think maybe a little more skewed disappointing, but this game definitely has its fans, and I think they probably tapped all the potential they have on the Xbox, and I think I'll be interested to see how this sells on the PlayStation, I guess. But this is a game I maybe played 20 to 30 hours of, kind of just fell off. I tend to do that a lot with games anyways, but I don't have a strong hankering to go back to Starfield anytime soon, but I think it's a nice option that it's coming to PlayStation 5 in a couple weeks on April 7th. So that's the news there with Starfield. And then the last thing I want to tell you about for the midsection of the show this week is a video game that's coming out on April 21st. I don't know if that date was official before this last week, but that's the official date right now. And the game is Vampire Crawlers, the turbo wildcard from Vampire Survivors. So this is going into thanks to the Switch 2, we have some extremely long video game names going on right now, but this is up there trying to fight with the Nintendo Switch 2 names. If this ever gets a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, this game could potentially be called Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors Nintendo Switch 2 edition. And if they want to add some DLC to that, it can be like plus Bella Bell Park at the end. So we got some good potential here for these long game names we've been seeing. But I think I'm pretty excited about this. We had Slay the Spire 2, which was released recently in early access, and people have been over the moon about that game. So I'm looking forward to that. But this game, I think has some similarities to Slay the Spire, with this being a card game. So let's see. Yeah, deck builder. So Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors, is going to release on April 21st for PS5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Developed by Mr. Ponkel. And also Nosebleed Interactive. The publisher is Ponkel. So that's interesting to see that Ponkel has his publishing wing of his development studio as well. I think that's really, really impressive and really cool. This game's going to be $9.99 US, and you can deal world-ending combos and blitz through infested dungeons. This is a casual turn-based deck builder with roguelite elements. Master the turbo turn with your own hand of cards. So Vampire Survivors is a wonderful video game. It's very inexpensive, so if you have any interest in it, I would say please go try it. It's a very addictive game. That's a very simple game, but it has depth to it. Has a lot of like completionary stuff you can do, so you can do runs different way and check off checklists and things like that. I think it does a great job for that. It's available on every platform. It's available on mobile. It kind of falls into that category for me. Vampire Survivors, Ball Pit, Spelunky, Dead Cells, Binding of Isaac, Blatro, Hollow Knight, all these games that are, even under the $20 range, that are amazing games. A lot of times these are from independent developers, and I think these are, oftentimes some of the best games of the year, and I think Ponkel's definitely worthy of some support. So Vampire Survivors, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors, comes out on April 21st. All right, that's everything I have for you for the midsection, all the video game news I wanted to bring to you this week. We talked about MLB The Show 26, Crimson Desert, the Nintendo Switch 2 European revision. We talked about Nintendo Classics GameCube, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, PlayStation Network, PlayStation Portal, the PlayStation 5 system update. We talked about Sonic Racing CrossWorlds having Mega Man join in the upcoming week. We talked about Starfield and Vampire Survivors, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors. So that's everything I got for you. But there is still one final section of the show to go. The final section is usually pretty short and sweet, and I think that'll be the case today. So please, stick around for the final section. It's the Miscellaneous Talk section. It's a break from all this video game talk. I'm going to get into the worldwide world of sports, but even if you aren't a fan of sports, I think you can get some enjoyment of, the emotional roller coaster that being a sports fan can take you on, or me on, in this situation. So please just come back for the final section after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 172. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. I want to start off with the Carolina Panthers, as always. They're in the offseason right now, so not a lot to report on them. They had a great start to free agency. And the only thing really that we're monitoring with the Carolina Panthers is the upcoming NFL draft, which is taking place next month. It's about a month away, a month and a day away. So taking place the NFL draft on April 23rd through the 25th. And then moving on to the NBA, I'm a halfway fan of the Charlotte Hornets since I'm a North Carolina resident now. And the Hornets have been really, really surging. And I don't know quite where their standing is. I think they got to be fringe playoffs. I think they have to be maybe even, well, I don't want to say in the playoffs, but they got to be fringe playoffs at this point. They've been really putting a lot of wins together since the All-Star break especially. And since last week, they played Tuesday versus Miami. The Hornets won 136-106. The Hornets have been selling out a lot of games, which have been impressive to see, or just having a lot of fans at the game. And that has not been typical for the last couple of years when I've been living in North Carolina. Thursday versus Orlando, the Hornets won 130-111. Saturday versus Memphis last night, the Hornets won 124-101. So, 3 wins at home during the week. They retired Del Curry's number 30. I think that was the Thursday night game they did that. And Steph and Seth were in the building and more of their family and friends, I think, and just a really, really cool celebration. A lot of people are talking about getting Steph Curry to come over to the Hornets, and that would be a really, really dream come true. He's definitely one of my favorite players of all time. I got to see him play when he was at Davidson a couple times against Furman University, and he was Steph Curry back then. He stood out, far above the rest, and it's been really, really cool to see, him keep living it up to the hype. And we're in March. I'm about to say almost. We're in March Madness time right now. So just reminiscing back on some of that stuff is really, really cool and really impressive is the main thing. So next week on the Hornets, they're going to play Sacramento, Knicks, Philly, and the Celtics. So hopefully they can keep, putting some more wins together. Been a really, really fun squad to watch and keep up with this year. All right, my favorite NBA team, who I've been, pretty sour about, pretty mad at since they traded Trae Young away this season. I think I've been coming around the bend a little bit since seeing, they picked up Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors, and I think that's a pretty cool addition, especially with Jalen Johnson. And Kuminga's been playing pretty good, and I'm a little bit back on board, but still not all the way. Monday versus Orlando, the Hawks won 124-112. Wednesday at Dallas, the Hawks won 135-120. So shout out to friend of the show, Pab there. The Hawks, whooping up on his Dallas Mavericks. Friday at Houston, the Hawks lost 117-95 or 95-117. And then Saturday at Golden State, the Hawks won 126-110. So generally a really good week for the Hawks. And they have also been, getting their act together a little more recently. The Hornets have been more consistent with it, but the Hawks have been on a little bit of a run. They were kind of doing some slipping after the Trae Young, or I guess a little bit before and after the Trae Young trade, doing some slipping, but they're getting their ducks in a row. They're back to taking care of some business, and I hope they will keep working overtime. All right, next week the Hawks have Memphis, Detroit, Boston, and Sacramento. So both of my teams are playing 4 games in this upcoming week, so it should be a great week for NBA basketball. All right, my favorite team in the universe, the Atlanta Braves. And the thing I want to report here is that they are going to be playing regular season baseball in the upcoming week, so I'm beyond excited. The 2026 season begins for the Braves on Friday, March 27th, 2026. That's this upcoming Friday. I've been waiting for this since the end of last season, and I have pretty good hope for the season, but I'm just excited to be able to watch baseball, almost daily with all the games that come on. It's just a really great thing to have and a great pastime and a great thing to watch. And it's just one of my favorite times of the year, and especially when the season's kicking off, it's just super extra exciting. And we'll definitely be talking about the games every week, and I'm excited to get baseball back in the rotation here, officially on the Dep Lewis Show next week. So go Braves. And then general MLB news, the World Baseball Classic wrapped up last week. It was very exciting. I think it was an excellent tournament. I like how they've been marketing this tournament better. They've been getting better players in it. They've been putting it at better times. I don't know, making them easier to watch, but it was really, really fun to watch. And since last week, it was down to the Final Four. So last Sunday, USA was playing the Dominican Republic, and the USA won 2-1 to go on to the finals. And then Monday, Venezuela at Italy. And the other semifinal, Venezuela won 4-2. And then Tuesday in the final, Venezuela versus the USA. Venezuela won 3-2. So this was pretty much the best outcome I could hope for me as a baseball fan, because Ronald Acuna Jr. plays for Venezuela. He's my favorite player on the planet. He might be my favorite baseball player of all time. He's definitely up there. My favorite player from growing up was Fred McGriff, and I think Ronnie is at least on par with my fandom and love for a baseball player. But Ronnie got to get the World Baseball Classic Championship along with his Venezuelan teammates, and I think that's pretty cool. Bryce Harper hit a home run towards the end of the game to take the lead. It was very, very exciting and very, very clutch. And I'm not a Bryce Harper fan because he plays for the Phillies, but it was a really cool moment. And then it was cool for Venezuela to come back and take the World Baseball Classic. So just, hats off to all the people putting that tournament on. Really, really fun to watch. And it's a great introduction to the baseball season. So, way to go, Ronnie. And hopefully you will be celebrating another championship in Major League Baseball in this upcoming season. All right, so baseball starting the upcoming week. That's the most exciting thing I got sports-wise, and if you can't tell, I can't wait. So let's get to it. So that's everything I got for you for the Miscellaneous Talk section this week. We talked about the Panthers, we talked about the Hornets, we talked about the Hawks, we talked about the Braves, go Braves, and we talked about some MLB news with the World Baseball Classic in general. So that's everything I got for you for the final section. And that's going to be everything I got for you for the entire show. So I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. So thank you so much for listening. It's unbelievable to me that people listen to the show and that people, more people continue to keep listening to it. And I just really, really appreciate it. I hope you get some good information out of this weekly, and hopefully you enjoy yourself a little bit here too. So I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world with whatever you're doing. If things are going good for you, I hope that continues. If things are going poorly, I hope that changes. And for me in the upcoming week, I'm going to be playing some more Pokemon. LeafGreen is definitely on the docket. I am going to be eagerly awaiting the start of baseball, so that's going to be, a big part of my weekend. Next weekend is watching some baseball. You can expect this show to be releasing in the morning on Sunday, like it usually does back in regular season baseball mode. So if you're looking for the podcast on Sunday earlier than it's been the last couple of weeks, it'll probably be there. So that is all I have for you for this week. Thank you once again, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.